In this video, I will be showing how to configure the SINUMERIK ONE as the controller for the example project. I will also show how to choose various options and features for the SINUMERIK ONE. First, select on New Device within Group 1 of the project tree. Then select the Controllers article list. Select the SINUMERIK tab on the far right and choose the SINUMERIK ONE. The SINUMERIK ONE has now been added as a new device to the bottom of the project tree. You will notice that there is a control electronics section of the multi-axis drive system in the project tree. It currently lists the CU320-2 as the current control unit for our system. Now that we have added the SINUMERIK ONE, we can change that by first clicking on the control electronics section, then clicking the Assign Controller dropdown, and choosing the SINUMERIK ONE. There are now two separate branches in our project tree that correspond to the SINUMERIK ONE. The first one, within the Control Electronics folder, is where we will assign the drive objects to the controller and define the drive click topology. The second one, at the very bottom of the project tree, is where we will choose options for the controller, such as software, MCP, and I/O. First, click on CUI within the Control Electronics section of the project tree. The state warning for the SINUMERIK ONE currently says that there are no axes assigned to the control unit. Click on the Dimension tab. Underneath the Drive Object Assignment section, there is a folder that is called Drive Objects Without Control Electronics. This folder currently contains the SmartLine module, the single motor modules for the spindle and Z axis, and the double motor module for the X and Y axes. We want to assign all of these objects to the SINUMERIK ONE, so select the Assign All button. This action moves the objects to the Assigned Drive Objects folder. Next, click on SINUMERIK ONE device at the very bottom of the project tree. We'll now step through each one of these tabs to choose options and configure the SINUMERIK ONE. First, in the Properties tab, you can change the name and add notes for the device. There's the description of the SINUMERIK ONE system. You can also add equipment identifiers and change the software version to choose between either standard or export version. In the Motion Control tab, you can select either PPU or NCU. We have the NCU 1740 selected. In the SINUMERIK Properties section of the screen, you can designate additional NC or S7 1500 axes. The IPC tab is where you can select an industrial PC if desired. The I symbols next to each option bring up further details and information of each IPC. In the CNC Software tab, you can choose software version 6.25 with or without the license. We'll keep the one with the license selected. There's a list of panels to choose from in the Panels tab. Again, for more information on each item, you can select the eye icon next to each option. I'm going to select the Somatic ITC 1900 V3 by clicking on it. Now it is shown under Selected Panels right here. In the Machine Control Panels tab, click on the SINUMERIK ONE MCP 1900. Here you can select a cable connection from the MCP to the hand wheel if you have one. To add the MCP, just click on the Use Article button. When you scroll further down on this page, there are other accessories you can add along with the MCP. For example, you can add an e-stop push button with its contact modules. You can also add the rotary switches for the spindle and feed rates. And as we've added more accessories, they get updated here in the selected machine control panel section. The software components tab is where we will select the appropriate components for the SINUMERIK One in our project specifically. It is very helpful to filter through each of these options by clicking on these categories, because otherwise there is a lot to scroll through. I'm not going to go through every single category, but I will show the selections relevant to our example project. First, I'm going to go to the Operating tab and make sure that the SINUMERIK Operate/NCU is checked. This is the interface for the SINUMERIK CNC system. At this point, there is still a warning symbol next to SINUMERIK One in the project tree. It says that the number of configurable axes and spindles in basic scope is exceeded, and that the suggested solution is to select the option for additional axes and spindles in software components. So in the system software category, we can add an additional axis/spindle by clicking on the plus sign, and now the warning has gone away. In the I/O tab, you can add SINUMERIK I/O modules. In the Documentation tab, you can add the important documentation for the SINUMERIK CNC software version. And finally, the Article Overview tab lists out every component of the SINUMERIK One system that has been added along the way. This concludes the video on choosing and configuring the SINUMERIK One as the controller for the CNC system.